Welcome on in, guys, and happy Tuesday. I hope you are ready. So this week we're not doing a book club recap and we're not doing a documentary recap. We're doing a podcast recap because Jen Shah back in 2019 was on Heather Gay's podcast and she talked all about being a woman in business, and she talked all about what her business was to Heather Gay, which was prompted by Heather Gay's recent appearance on Watch What Happens Live after Jen Shah was arrested, where she says, I did a whole 1-hour interview with Jen Shah talking about her business. So I went and I listened to that podcast. We're going to break it down along with the comments that Heather Gay has said on Watch What Happens Live. And yeah, Mamma Mia, I'm curious to know what you guys think. We know Jen's sentencing is this Friday. Let's dive in. Oh, hi, it's me, Zack Peter, pop culture junkie, reality TV insider, published author, and host of the No Filter with Zack Peter podcast. Here I'll bring you all the latest news on the Real Housewives, deep dives into celebrity legal scandals, and unfiltered convos with your favorite stars. I've got you covered. And yes, I always keep receipts. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest tea. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. We have the YouTube live stream popping. We are live on the Instagram. And yes, we are about to break it down. So this Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, Heather Gay, well, actually, sorry, not Heather Gay, Jen Shah will be in her sentencing, finding out how long she's going to have to serve in prison for her telemarketing business opportunity scheme that she was running. That is this Friday. I will be going live. So instead of doing our regular Thursday night live, I will be going live. We won't go live on Thursday night, but I will be going live Friday afternoon after, obviously, that's 11:30 a.m. my time. So I'm assuming it'll be done by noon. So about 1-ish on Friday, 1-ish Pacific on Friday, I will be going live on YouTube and Instagram, and we'll break down what happened at the sentencing. I'll see if I can get like Emily D. Baker or somebody that's live on the fields in New York to call in as well and chat about what they saw in the courtroom and maybe help us break some of this down. Maybe I'll see if Justin Paperny's available. Maybe he'll call in live as well. We'll see. But obviously, it's Tuesday. Tuesday, we do our regular book club recaps or our documentary club recaps. It's our Zack Pack Weekly Unpack Night. We're not going to be unpacking a book or a documentary. We're going to be unpacking Heather Gay's podcast. She did appear on Watch What Happens Live after Jen Shah was arrested, where Andy Cohen asked her, he said, hey, Heather Gay, does it matter to you if Jen Shah is innocent or guilty? And Heather Gay's response to Andy Cohen was, that is irrelevant to me. It's irrelevant whether she's guilty or innocent because Jen is my friend. And I knew her business was unsavory before it was made public. So why would that support change for her now that the public knows that her business was unsavory, which is a very interesting word to use to describe Jen Shah's business. Unsavory is putting it very mildly. Immoral is a great word. I don't know. What words would you use to describe Jen Shah's business? Some of you may say evil, insidious, disgusting, garbage. Well, in that same interview with Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live, Heather's like, I sat down with Jen for an entire hour and we dove into her business. And at first, I didn't understand it. And I still don't fully understand it. I knew it was nothing that I would ever want to be a part of. But you know what? That was her business. I didn't know it was illegal. And if I would have known it was illegal, I would have told her to not do that. And I was like, oh, well, that's very polite of you. If it was illegal, if you knew it was illegal, you would have told her to stop, even though you knew it was immoral and you never encouraged her to stop doing this. It's okay if it's immoral, but if it's illegal, okay, got it, Heather Gay. Cool. So I actually went back. Somebody sent me a link. I didn't realize that the podcast was still up. I thought the podcast was taken down because I remember when I initially tried to look for it months and months ago, I couldn't actually find it until somebody was like, oh my God, I listened to it. And here is the actual link to listen to the podcast. So I was like, okay, so let's actually dive into that podcast and recap what this full hour diving into Jen Shah's business, right? Let's talk about it. So I listened to the full It wasn't an hour. It was a good 45 minutes. It's available on Spotify. The podcast is called Live, Love Lab. It's available on Spotify right now. So you can look up Live Love Lab on Spotify and tune in. You can also listen to the Ringer Reality TV podcast. I have a new recap of Real Housewives of Miami out today. And tomorrow I have a recap of The Circle. And I just have to say really quickly before we dive into Heather's podcast, our holiday wine collection sold out. This is late. I'm revealing it late, but it happened last week right after Christmas. Sold out within 3 weeks, which is so incredible. And I'm so grateful to you guys for supporting No Filter Wine. We fucking sold out. Our last limited edition collection happened last fall. That took 3 months to sell out. This sold out in 3 weeks. So thank you for supporting No Filter Wine. The classic collection is still available at nofilterwine.com. The holiday collection is sold out. So thank you guys for buying it. Thank you for supporting it. I was really fucking scared that it was not going to sell out. And I'm very grateful that you guys had my back and you supported me. The Zack Pack love is real. Mwah. We were also I think we were like number 4 in the US and number 8 in the UK. And we were in all the charts last week as well. So you guys have been supporting the podcast. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's dive in. Thank you for all the love, guys, on the Instagram. Thank you, Wendy Wendy Woo Rubens. Okay, Live Love Lab. So this podcast interview aired back in June of 2019. Obviously, we know Real Housewives of Salt Lake City wasn't announced until November of 2019, and they didn't begin filming until December of 2019. So at the point that they're recording this, these were not public figures. Nobody really knew who Jen Shah was. Nobody really knew who Heather Gay was, other than Heather Gay was the creator of Beauty Lab and Laser out in Salt Lake City. Jen Shah was a telemarketer, as Heather describes her, a successful, super successful female entrepreneur, a community leader, a local philanthropist, and a cultural influencer, and overall superstar. That's how Heather Gay opens up this podcast, by naming Jen Shah all the things that Jen Shah named in her 55-page brief to the judge, where she was begging for 3 years in prison. Only 3 years. The government wants 10. So Jen is asked what her career is and what she actually does for a living, and she tries her best to explain it. So despite what Heather Gay said about the 1-hour interview where she gets into Jen Shah's business, it was not a 1-hour interview. The podcast itself was under 50 minutes. And I would say it was really only a good 20 to 25 minutes actually talking about Jen Shah's business. And the rest of it was like a total promotion for Beauty Lab and Laser. Not worth the listen if you ask me. So when they ask her what her career is and what she does for a living, Jen Shah describes it as, in a nutshell, it encompasses direct response marketing. She then defines direct response marketing as any way you can acquire a customer, any type of medium or vertical, infomercial, online, print, magazine, direct mail, any type of medium you can acquire a customer is basically direct response marketing. So it's data collection, essentially. They're basically collecting people's info, putting them into demographics so that way they can sell these demographic lists to other people. So normally, like if you sign up your email somewhere and you have to consent to giving your email and you have to take like a survey, usually that's typically how people give up their information, and that's how they end up on lists like this. So, when they say opt into my mailing list, opt into my text message list, whatever the case may be, a lot of the times people are willingly giving up this information. There are also more unsavory ways to obtain this type of information, but essentially she's collecting leads. That's how they're referred to in the telemarketing world and in the legal documents that are accusing her of this scam. She says that 90% of her business is online customer optimization, aka lead generation. She then is asked about the specific types of clients that she has, and she says that the demo is ultimately specific to the customer, right? You define the demographic and her team will find the info on them. They target those types of people so that you can sell products and services to them. So she said growing up, she wanted to be a newscaster, but she had to focus on putting her husband through law school and supporting her kids. So she didn't really see herself ever getting into lead generation, but marketing was always something that she gravitated towards. The way she explains it makes it sound rather innocuous. I was just pulling data on people that customers would seek out, and then those customers would sell them things, right? However, We now know that she was running the sales floors. She had her own sales floors. They had upsell floors. She had her own businesses that she was running that was doing lead generation. She claims that all of those lists were her own lists that she created, and she would take them from one company to the next company and keep selling them to other businesses or other customers and clients. We know that she was receiving a commission off of the sales that were being made. So it is interesting that she does try to make it seem kind of innocent. We were just collecting data, people's data, and then businesses would come to us and we would give them that data based off of the demographic that they wanted. The part that she leaves out is the specific type of data that they were generating was on vulnerable people. It wasn't just like, okay, people in there, like a key demographic would be like women 25 to 34 or 35 to 44. Those are usually the key demos. Affluent, upscale, city goers, like usually those are the women with buying power. And so those are the types of leads a savory business would be buying generations for. In this case, though, we know that Jen was pulling together lead lists of vulnerable people, elderly people, people that were in an older demographic. So she knew exactly the type of customer that was being targeted. She would then give these lead generation lists to these other companies that would then sell those people these types of fake products, fake business opportunities, fake coaching services. And Jen and her team would get a kickback. They would get a percentage of whatever these old people would fork over to these companies. We also know that Jen was operating her own sales floor, so she had her own team that was selling these things to these customers. We now know that she was instructing her team members based off of the evidence that the government has provided. She was instructing people to, have them max out their credit cards, split payments over multiple credit cards, call the credit card companies with the client on the phone and try to get them to up their credit limit. That way they can totally max them out. Like it was ruthless and toothless, awful, disgusting, like type of stuff. Unsavory is a very generous way to put it. The interesting thing is, Heather makes it very clear in her Watch What Happens Live interview with Andy Cohen that she knew Jen's business was not just unsavory, but she's like, it was nothing I would ever want to be a part of, which to me says, oh, okay, Heather Gay knew exactly what Jen Shah was doing. And people are like, well, that's her friend. She's loyal, loyalty all the way. Don't be a snitch. Don't be a rat. And I'm just like, really? If I had good friends, I would want my friends to hold me accountable. I would want my friends to say, look, Zach, I don't think what you're doing is cool. Maybe we peak. Maybe we pivot. Maybe we tweak the business and, do something else that is a little more savory, But it doesn't seem like Heather Gay was doing that. We even see Heather Gay on the show being like, I don't really know what Jen Shah does, but I go to fancy dinners at Tao and I like it, So we see kind of a bit conflicting stories of Heather Gay at the reunion being like, I don't really know what she does, but I like what she does. And then we also see her on Watch What Happens Live being like, I did know what she did and I didn't want any part of it, but also it doesn't seem like she had an issue benefiting from it. I know people seem to like to grill Erica Jane for benefiting from Tom Girardi's crimes. Now people are starting to put Coach Shah in the hot seat for benefiting from Jen Shah's crimes. It's a little deeper with Coach Shah because not only was he benefiting from it, but it also seems, based off of the text messages the government released, that Sharif was also coaching Jen and Stuart Smith on how to answer questions from the FTC when they were under investigation and they were being deposed. It seems like Coach Shah was trying to guide them as to how to not incriminate themselves with their answers to certain questions. Obviously, that doesn't mean that Coach Shah had an active role in the scheme. I've been very clear. I don't think there's anything that he's done that's necessarily incriminating other than, acting as their legal counsel, giving them legal advice on how to not incriminate themselves. But at the very least, it does show that Jen Shah, her husband, was aware of what she was doing and what her business practices actually were. Jen Shah's pure evil. Cemetery plots in the sky. Shame on you, Jen Shah. Yeah. Sucker list. Yeah, essentially a sucker list. Real friends tell you the truth, not what they want to hear. Exactly. But it seemed like Heather Gay was cool with it as long as she was able to get her table at Tao. She was living it up. Let's get lit. So interesting that Heather Gay is still supporting her despite all of that. Heather Gay talks about targeted Instagram ads and how effective they are for her. And Jen Shah basically says in the interview with Heather, people think that it's Surrey that's listening, but it's really Jen Shah listening or my assistant Stuart. So as of June 2019, doing this interview on Heather Gay's podcast in June 2019, before they started filming, right before they started filming Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, about 6 months prior, she acknowledges that she was very much still working with Stuart Smith. She refers to him as her assistant. Obviously, we know in season 1, she still refers to Stu as her assistant and makes it seem like Stu is her right-hand man. In season 2, after she gets arrested, she then turns her tune and she's like, I don't know, Stu, who's that? And then based off of the previews that we're seeing here in season 3, it looks like she's saying that she's only in this mess because of Stuart Smith. So the story has changed 3 different times. It sounded really good in season 1. He was making me lots of money and I was happy about it. I'm feeding him a banana. Season 2, I don't really know Stu. Season 3, Stuart Smith dragged me into all of this. Even though the text messages released by the government tell a very different story because they make it seem, or they don't even make it seem, they just showed that she was coaching Stuart Smith on what to do and how to avoid intense questioning from the FTC. She says that the best part of her job is meeting so many different types of people and helping to expand people's businesses through this marketing opportunity for them. So it does appear that she had some legal and legit customers too, but we know the primary base of her business was profiting off of utilizing the tools that she had to target more vulnerable people and to milk them out of their money, to squeeze them for everything they've got. She says that the most glamorous part of her job, or the least glamorous part of her job, is having customers in other countries. So she has to be up at all hours of the night. Interesting. Obviously, we know she was moving operations over to Kosovo. So I don't know if that's what she refers to when she says having international clients and having to be up at all hours of the night when you're moving your money overseas. Definitely makes things a little challenging with the time difference. So she says that it wasn't easy being a female entrepreneur in tech 18 years ago. So that was challenging for her in Utah. She says that she had to work 10 times harder because of this. She talks about being a working mom. Coach Shah was in law school, so she had to do what she had to do in order to make things happen for them. She said that she always had to be 20 steps ahead of everyone else to have more credibility in the room, which doesn't sound great now, knowing that she's been listed by the feds as the ringleader of this entire scam. She even admits to now being the head honcho, or at least at the time that she was doing this interview, she's like, I'm the head honcho and I tell everybody what to do. So here she's making it very well aware that she had a very active, large, high level role on the team doing all of this. She said that she was the hardest working mom in the room. It was a lot harder being a female, so she had to prove herself. She said people can always be smarter than you, but nobody can outwork you. So, milking all those senior citizens for all they got. She was working real hard. They also talk about working in Utah versus working in New York. Remember, that was part of her argument about being Utah Jen, who's a good wife and sister and daughter and mother. And then there was New York Jen, who was a little more cutting edge, and she fell in line with the wrong crowd. And, it was a whole different ballgame in New York compared to Utah, is what she tells Heather in this interview. She says that all the contracts and all the negotiations, though, were all done by her. She led all of that. But I'm like, wait, but now you're telling us that Stuart Smith was the one that got you into all this, that he was the one that dragged you into everything. But you were the one generating the leads. You were the one negotiating the contracts. You were the one leading negotiations. I thought you were only in this because of Stu Chains. But they get into the challenges of being a woman and having to play hardball with negotiations. And then Heather asks Jen where she sees herself in 5 years. So this is back in 2019. So we're 2020, 2021, 2022. So it's only been 3 years. So she's still got 2 more years ahead of her, but she certainly didn't guess that she would be in prison. Surprise! Plot twist. Hit him with the plot twist. She says that back then in June 2019, she saw herself taking over the world. But I guess now the only world she's going to be taking over is her cell block. Not jail, Rooney, prison, federal prison. Erica did not steal anything. That is correct. Erica did not steal anything. Then Jen gives Heather some business advice. She says that Heather has an advantage over male-dominated industries like her world of lead generation. They talk about self-improvements and injectables and plastic surgery and how they want to destigmatize that. And then Heather gets into like a Q&A about her business and, why people asking questions about why she only hires pretty people at Beauty Lab and Laser. And she's like, that's not true. They have to be pretty and they have to be smart. They have to have a personality too. It's not exactly what she says, but that's basically what she says. Just like how in Much What Happens Live, she basically said, I don't care if Jen Shah steals from grandma's. She's my friend. And, she's my friend, which is loyalty. Yes. But it's like the real question comes down to at what point do we like have a moral compass? Like if we know our friend has gotten off track, at what point do we help them steer it back on the right path? At what point do we kind of reel things back in and be like, okay, maybe I try to help my friend get their moral compass back on north, versus south. Maybe I prevent my friend from stealing from more elderly people because it's wrong. Maybe I stop going to dinners at Tao that I know are paid for with, Geraldine's savings because Jen needs to stay relevant. So even negative attention is good attention to her. I mean, I guess so. I'm so disappointed in Heather Gay. I love her, but I can't excuse her defending Jen. I'm not disappointed in Heather Gay. I expect this from Heather Gay. She is proven to be loyal, but loyal to the wrong people. Her moral compass definitely seems to be off. She definitely seems to have her priorities focused in the wrong place. So I don't feel bad for Heather Gay. And if people are going to give Heather Gay heat, I don't feel bad for that. Please tap the like button. Yes, Aaron, hit that like button if you guys are watching this on the YouTube. Subscribe if you're liking this content. A lot more content to come on Jen Shah, Coach Shah, Heather Gay. The sentencing is this Friday. Also been covering the Royals a lot. Harry and Meghan. Lots of coverage. I have a podcast episode dropping on Wednesday on #NoFilter with Zack Peter, available on all podcast platforms. And we are diving into all the lies Meghan and Harry have told us. That'll be fun. I have my girl, Diana Espear, who's coming on the podcast. She's zooming in from London, and we dive into all of it. But I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think Heather's being a good, loyal friend? When do you think she should distance herself from her? See, here's the difference between Heather Gay and Meredith. I like Meredith, and obviously I've had Meredith on the show. And when I had Meredith on the show, she said that it was right after Jen pled guilty, and she said that she was surprised by it, but she hadn't really talked to Jen since then. It now seems like she's maintained her friendship with Jen and has been lobbying to have Jen at the reunion and has said that, she'd be disappointed if Jen doesn't come back next season, which is that's a little more disappointing for me because I feel like Meredith was always kind of tougher on Jen in the first 2 seasons, whereas now I don't understand Meredith's blind loyalty to Jen, especially knowing Meredith is an attorney. She has a law background. She understands these things differently in comparison to Heather Gay, who is just blindly loyal. I mean, it's insane to me. Like Jen Shah literally said Heather Gay looks like Shrek. And she's like, yeah, I'm friends with Jen. I'm going to defend her to the end. I'm going to be her friend all the way through. I don't think you should turn your back on your friends. But at what point do you not enable their behavior anymore? Like Jen Shah was literally in Pasadena this week going to the Rose Bowl. And people are like, oh, well, Coach Shah was at the Rose Bowl. That's why she was there. She was with her family. She was supporting her family. Okay, cool. Be with your family. You don't need to be posting that on social media. Why are you at the Rose Bowl posting having a good time at the Rose Bowl on your Instagram story? Bull. That's when her friends should be like, listen, don't like if you need to go to the Rose Bowl because you want to support your husband and be with your family, fine. Be with your husband, support your family, whatever. But like, come on, this is insanity. Seems that Heather doesn't have a backbone nor a storyline, so she's writing the worst coattails ever. Truly, I'm curious as to what is said in her actual book about her fucking black eye, which I'm tired of hearing about. But like, I really want to know what her story is and why she decided to conceal it for so long. How do you make money through YouTube? Advertising, my love. Sky Lane, cheers. I have my no filter wine with me in the hot tub. Yes, Sky Lane, I love this vibe. No filter. Are you drinking the rosé or the white wine? Rosé or white wine? Yes, 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 yes. Also, shout out to randomly RJ. on YouTube. He does recaps. He did a Salt Lake City, or not a Salt Lake City, a Real Houses of Miami recap on his YouTube channel with Russell Raymond, and they both gave the wine a shout out. So I just wanted to give them a little shout out because they were like pimping out the no filter wine, which again, thank you guys for helping us sell out our holiday collection. These are them. You can't get them anymore. So if you missed the opportunity, I'm sorry. I always make it nice. And oh my God, I'm lit. They're officially off the market because they are sold out. Yeah. A couple days before she's gone for a long time. Yeah. So like, what, we're okay with her living it up before she gets locked up? Like, I don't know. To me, it's like, don't post on social media that you're at the fucking Rose Bowl, or not the Rose Bowl, at the Rose Parade. I'm sorry. I don't think that that's cool. Not cool. I found an old clip from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City that I posted on the No Filter Instagram account that shows Mary being one of the only people that was actually questioning Jen Shah. And she was like, hey, Jen Shah, you really think that the feds just randomly picked you? You think you're being framed right now? And then in her confessional, she's like, listen, I hope Jen's innocent, but do I believe that she's innocent? No. It's the feds. It's Homeland Security. Like, they don't just frame Jen Shah. Like, they have the text messages, they have the emails, they have Heather Gay's podcast, they have all these things. I think Meredith knows Jen is going away for a long time. I know, but like, why continue to co-sign her behavior by standing by her like that? It's one thing to be her friend, but it's another thing to not hold her accountable for her behavior. And at what point, when the behavior continues, at what point do you say, hey, I need to take a step back? This is not cool. Like, at what point is there going to be consequences for Jen's bad behavior? I feel like at some point we need to start holding her accountable if we really are her friends. I would expect my friends to pull me aside and hold me accountable. Jacques is in the live chat. Jacques from Unpopular. He holds me accountable all the time. I'm like, Jacques, I'm going to tweet this. I'm going to do this. And I get fired up and I rant and I rave to Jacques. And then Jacques' like, okay, don't fucking post that on Twitter. Don't do this. Like, pull it, get it together. Okay. Get your shit together. And he slaps me in the face. And then I'm like, okay, fine. I got it together. Jen's go-to responses, I don't remember. Remember? Oh, yes. Your go-to responses, I don't know. Because if you don't know, you don't know. Jacques says, yes, I'm more level-headed than people realize. Surprisingly, yeah. I think, surprisingly, I'm like the more impulsive one. I'm the Lisa Rinna. And Jacques is like, calm it down, reel it in, bring it back in, tone it down. You're going to look crazy. And I'm like, I don't care if I look crazy. I'm tired of these motherfuckers. I'm going to blast their asses on Twitter. And he's like, let's not. Let's be rational. Let's think this through. So yes, you need people that will have your back and that will call you out on your business, on your practices, whatever it is. Okay, guys, closing thoughts before we wrap this up. I do have to run to dinner. I have a birthday dinner that I have to run to in 30 minutes. So I have to like wrap this up in like the next 5 minutes. But yeah, like I said, there's a new Real Houses of Miami recap out now on the Ringer Reality TV podcast. There's a new recap of The Circle out tomorrow on the Ringer Reality TV podcast. New episode of #NoFilter. We dive into all of Meghan and Harry's lies and the lies that they're selling us as he's on his book tour and fresh off their documentary. Lily, can you actually get a black eye from Botox if that's so? Because she seems to have bad aesthetic. If you ask me, thank you for your answer. Yes, Lily. So Dr. Jen Armstrong, who you may remember, she does my Botox, she does my filler. Love Dr. Jen. She was on Real Housewives of Orange County. She spoke to Kate Casey and she told Kate Casey that yes, it is possible for you to get that from bad Botox. And typically it does take a couple of days for the swelling and the bruising to get to that point. And you can even see, you know, from the bruise was kind of up here and then it kind of moves down here by the end of the night from what we saw on camera. So it does appear that the bruise is kind of moving. Dr. Armstrong, Dr. Jen does seem to co-sign that this could have been bad Botox, and maybe the reason she isn't telling us that it's bad Botox is because that may be bad business for Beauty Lab and Laser. So there's that. The other theory is maybe she fell. It's highly unlikely. I mean, it's possible that if you fall, that the bruise can swell that badly overnight, especially if you have alcohol in your system, because obviously that makes you more prone to bruising. So that is a possibility. And then the third option is that somebody hit her. And that's what she definitely seems to be alluding to, is that someone hit her. I think that that's a dumb theory, but it's definitely a possible theory. The only person that would likely hit her would be Jen Shah, and the only reason she would likely be protecting Jen Shah is because of the upcoming sentencing that we know is happening this Friday, January 6th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, no one knows bad Botox better than Dr. Jen. I wouldn't say that. My Botox with Dr. Jen always comes out great. My filler always comes out great. I love Dr. Jen. I know that there were those accusations that were out there. There were accusations from a disgruntled former employee. I would not have gone to Dr. Jen if I really believed the accusations that were out there. I don't think I have bad Botox. Obviously, my Botox is wearing off, so my forehead's starting to move a little bit more, and I'm gonna soon have to go in to get my Botox touched up. But yes, I don't think I have bad Botox, so I wouldn't say that Dr. Jen. Let this be a poster for that. Let this be a billboard for it. I would not say that Dr. Jen knows bad Botox. If anything, it's quite the opposite. Thank you, guys. I'm going with the fact that she got punched. I don't think she got punched, though. The other issue with the got punched theory, I think she slipped and she fell and she hit her face. The issue with getting punched is Bravo would have to do an investigation into that, right? Like they would have to actually, like that would have to be something that HR would have to take in, and they would have to see if somebody on the staff or somebody on the cast actually hit her, and then they would have to, you know, work through that internal investigation. I think that I think HR did get involved. I think they did have to do an investigation. And that's why they're able to air all of this, because from what they found from the investigation, it wasn't anything bad. It was probably that Heather just fell. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we do see footage of Heather Gay falling, if she slips and falls and they're just dragging this out to make it more interesting for us to watch, even though it's kind of the opposite. Someone socked her up for supporting Jen. I mean, I would hope. Well, no, I don't want to say I would hope so. I'm not putting that on the internet. I'm not co-signing that. But I mean, shit, I would love somebody to knock some sense into her, not literally, but figuratively. My God, they have to know who did it because of the cameras, correct? Or at least they at least know what happened. There are enough cameras around there to piece together what happened. If somebody came into Heather's room and punched her, they would have footage of somebody coming into Heather's room and punching her. Or maybe not punching her, but at least the camera that's focused on the door, they would have that person walking in. Obviously, Heather didn't have a black eye when all of the women left that night. So at some point, someone else would have had to have come in and hit her and knocked some sense into her. That's a joke, guys. That's not literal. But yeah. Oh my God, typo. I meant I. Heather's whole image has changed since season 1. I mean, yeah. But I mean, when your best friend Jen Shah says you look like Shrek and a Lego man, yeah, you're going to change your image. I think you were not meaning physically, but yeah. I just don't think she fell because the scratch marks on her back. Oh, actually, that's another good point, Megan. So I don't remember which Bravo account posted this, and I feel bad because I always like to give credit, and I know sometimes I forget to give credit, and right now I can't remember. But there was a Bravo account. It wasn't the Bravo docket. Maybe it was the Bravo Bone Collector. One of them posted photos of Heather Gay, and she had the scratches earlier in the night when she was out at dinner. So those were not scratches that she woke up to. So she wasn't battered. According to the footage, if you watch that episode again, you will see the scratches on Heather Gay's arms and back earlier in that night. Botox reaction takes days after the shot. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think the Botox theory is likely. Some people are saying that it's not likely, that it's a bad theory, that it's likely that she fell. Who knows? Jen invested in Beauty Lab. I don't believe Jen invested in Beauty Lab. Listen, if she was renting her Shaw Chalet and she was buying counterfeit luxury handbags, I don't believe that she was investing in Heather Gay's business. Heather's tagline about being Mormon is the Kyle's tagline about in this town. I mean, yeah, but Heather's only been on for 3 seasons. Kyle's been a little more consistent with it. She has scratches only on one side, yes, but the scratches happened earlier in the night. Thank you, Aaron, for the reminder. Guys, please hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/justplainzack if you enjoyed this recap. And get ready because this Friday we'll be going live. It'll air on the podcast after we go live, but I will go live on Instagram. I will go live on YouTube. And then I will definitely make sure the audio gets uploaded to the podcast afterwards. That way you're always in the loop and you're fully in the loop by the end of Friday with what's going on with Jen Shah. Straight from... not from the horse's mouth, but straight from the horse's mouth, right here. I will give you all the tea. I also might be on Morally Corrupt on the Ringer Reality TV podcast that's hosted by Rachel Lindsay. They're going to be breaking down the Jen Shah stuff. So stay tuned. I might be appearing on their podcast on Friday as well, which would be a Ringer crossover because obviously I do things on It Was All a Stream. Rachel Lindsay hosts Morally Corrupt, which is their Bravo podcast. I'm as of right now, we haven't confirmed a time or anything yet, but I'm supposed to be appearing on that this Friday to chat all things Jen Shah with her sentencing. So can't believe her time is finally up. I agree. I like how Jen made nice with the friend who was going to send her the bill for having her husband's birthday party at her house. Yeah, real convenient. I remember them speaking of Jen buying Gucci with money, no credit. Yeah, she was getting paid in cash, remember? Zach, are you still doing the Circle? Yes, I do Circle recaps every Wednesday on the Ringer Reality TV podcast. This week, we're recapping episodes 5 through 8. Last week, we did episodes 1 through 4. And then Miami recaps every Tuesday, Circle recaps every Wednesday. Weekly unpacks on the YouTube channel every Tuesday, new episodes of the podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and YouTube lives and Instagram lives on Thursday nights. So it is content. I've literally been up since 5:30 a.m. today, binging all of the Circle. Then I had to get ready to go into the Spotify studios today to tape my Real Housewives of Miami recap, come back to the apartment to tape the new episode of No Filter, then tape our recap for the Circle. Now I'm doing the live, and now I have to go to run to a family birthday dinner. So with that, a bitch is booked and busy, and we are living life. Ass out, titties out, living life. Yeah. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I will not talk to you on Thursday Night Live. I will be live on Friday around 1 p.m. Pacific-ish. Stay tuned. Follow the Instagram. Follow me at Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter at Zack. That way you stay up to date with what the situation is and when I'm actually going to be going live. But we will be going live after Jen Shah's sentence. I'm going to try to get a legal expert that's on the field, or at least a reporter, again, on the field that can weigh in and call into the podcast and we can recap it. But just expect at some point Friday afternoon, we will be doing a recap with how much she gets locked up for. Get your No Filter Wine at nofilterwine.com. Get some popcorn and let's count down to the bitch going down. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you Friday. Ciao for now. Bye.